Hello, everyone. This is the June 27th regular meeting of the Board of Water Supply. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to go over some virtual meeting regulations required by law. Board members attending any board meeting remotely must be visible to the public to be considered present and meet quorum guidelines. Board members participating remotely must also disclose their location and anyone present at their location during roll call. The public is allowed to attend the Board of Water Supply board meetings here at the BWS Public Service Building located at 630 Beretania Street, Honolulu, Hawaii, 96843 via interactive conference technology. Masks are not required to be worn. I'd like to take a moment to take a roll call of the board members. When I say your name, please say aye and please make the required disclosures. Vice Chair Kapuas-Pro.
Aye. I'm appearing remotely from my home office and I'm alone with the door closed today. Mahalo.
Thank you. Board Member Ray Sum.
Here, in the boardroom.
Thank you. Board Member Max Sword.
Here, in the boardroom.
Board Member Naalehu Anthony.
Here in the boardroom.
And Board Member Don Sefcik.
Hi, Dawn here, present in my office alone.
Thank you. All right, for everyone who are calling in or video conferencing in, please mute your microphones when you're not speaking. If you have a question, comment, or wish to enter a motion or second a motion on an action item, or if you want to make a comment or want to applaud something or someone, please unmute your microphone, identify yourself before continuing to speak. If you encounter technical issues during today's meeting, please use the WebEx chat to send a direct message to our support team. Their names are listed in a message to all WebEx participants. To open the chat window, please click or tap on the text bubble icon on the right side of the WebEx toolbar. Also in the room with us are Manager Ernest Lau, Board Secretary Joy Cruz Achu, and Information Specialist Stephen Narstrom. Joining on WebEx to monitor in-person public testimony is Information Specialist Keone Matos from our Communications Office. And also joining us by telephone conference or WebEx are Jeff Lau and Moana Yost, both from the City and County Corporation Counsel Department. Testimony could be submitted as follows. Both written and mail testimony, as well as online testimony, were being accepted. Telephone testimony will be accepted during this meeting by calling 808-748-6040. Again, that number is 808-748-6040. Callers will be placed in a queue and brought up to testify one at a time. In-person testimony is also being accepted today during the meeting from the lobby of the Board of Water Supply Public Service Building here at 630 South Beretania Street, Honolulu, Hawaii, 96843. Those wishing to provide in-person testimony will be placed in a queue and brought up to testify one at a time. Again, the number to call for telephone testimony is 808-748-6040. And please await further instructions if you decide to call in to deliver testimony. Meeting materials for a board packet under HRS section 92-7.5 are accessible at www.boardofwatersupply.com/boardmeetings. Today, we are live streaming on our BWS website at www.boardofwatersupply.com/live spelled out. The video player will appear on your screen. You may have to click the arrow on video to start it. You also may have to unmute the audio, as muted audio tends to be the default setting. All right, turning to our agenda now, I am going to take the agenda out of order today. And the first item I'd like to address is an item for information, specifically item information number 1. This is the update on the Board of Water Supply's response to the potential impacts of the Red Hill fuel contamination. Manager Lau?
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to have with me today, also presenting as part of this update is Mr. Barry Usagawa, head of our Water Resources Division. Also Kathleen Elliott Pahinui, our Communications Office, and Mr. Erwin Kawata, head of our Water Quality Division. Okay, thank you. So with this update, we're going to cover a variety of areas. Next slide, please. Something that happened last week, Monday, at the invitation of our 2 congressional representatives, Mr. Kai Kahele and Mr. Ed Pace, a town hall meeting was held at the Honolulu High School Performing Arts Center, which, by the way, I must say is a beautiful performing arts center. And that town hall meeting was arranged by the 2 congressmen, and they invited myself to join them to help provide updates and answer questions. So it went from about 6 p.m. to about 9 p.m. The bulk of the time was there actually to allow the community members that came out to the meeting a chance to share their manao. So people are pretty allowed to share what they thought, ask questions of the congressman or even myself. And it went on till the full 9 o'clock. Next slide. So the Congressman Kahele on the House side is part of the House Armed Services Committee. So he belongs to 2 subcommittees, the Tactical Air and Land and the Readiness Committee. The Readiness Committee is really where the Red Hill issues were being discussed from last year into this year. Next, please. So this is kind of the appropriations process that Congressman Case showed here. The flow from the president's budget and the Congressional Budget Office, provides a report on the president's budget to the Budget Committee. Then it goes into the House, different committees in the House and the Senate. And then there are like 12 appropriations bills to be voted on in the House and Senate. Now, you must say that just in this town hall meeting, I learned a bit more about the congressional process, but I'm just I'm only on the tip of the iceberg here because it's a much more complicated process in our state legislature to actually go out and to create a budget and pass a budget. It actually there's two major steps. One is authorizations, which for the Navy's budget, there's a National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA. And then there's a separate appropriation. So the authorization process kind of defines purpose and intent. And then the appropriations process, actually brings the money to the table here in the budget. So both are, and we're right now in that process. So the National Defense Authorization Act, I think it's going to go before the House for a vote. It just passed the Armed Services Committee with what they call the marks or revisions suggested by the chair and other members. But it was something that both Congressman Kahele actually was successful in getting some changes in there that I think are to our benefit. Next, please. So what's next is really, you're looking at vote on the bills in July and funding becoming available on October 1st, 2023. So they're looking at the federal fiscal year of 2023, which starts October 1st and then on 2022 and ends on September 30th, 2023. It's a little different from the city and the state's fiscal years, which run from July 1st to June 30th each year, but it's kind of very similar. So what they're looking at is pending, that's about $1.1 billion in appropriations for the Red Hill facility. It's a little too early to tell how much money will be actually appropriated in Congress for various purposes related to Red Hill. But this is kind of the target. The president in his budget, I think, did include a $1 billion amount in the presidential budget to address the different Red Hill issues. In the meantime, what we've done we submitted a request to all of our Hawaii congressional delegation, Senator Schatz, Senator Hirono, Congressman Case, Congressman Kahele, for about $195 million to cover, and that's a very rough number of what might be the cost to develop replacement wells to replace the 3 wells that currently shut down. And I just want to express my appreciation to our congressional delegation. Prior to this town hall meeting, I had the opportunity actually to personally talk to Congressman Case, Kahele, and Senator Schatz. And I have a meeting with Senator Hirono sometime tomorrow. So we're really building the lines of communication to work with them going forward, because we know that our congressional delegation is going to be critically important to getting the fuel out of Red Hill and getting the facility permanently shut down, but also into the investigation into the aquifer and perhaps recovery of some of our costs that'll have the Navy or the Department of Defense pay for some of our costs to deal with this crisis that we're going through. Next, please. So this time I'm going to just turn it over to Barry to talk about the recent Commission of Water Resources Management meeting. I wasn't able to attend, but Barry, go ahead and provide a brief update. Thank you.
Thank you, Ernie. Yeah, so the Commission on Water Resource Management created a permitted interaction group consisting of Commissioners Meyer, Buck, and Viviani. And they reported at their June 14th meeting and voted to initiate a commission process to modify the 3 NAVFAC water use permits. And they include the Waiawa Shaft, the Aiahalawa Shaft, and the Red Hill Shaft. They mentioned several components of the proposed action. One is remediation process, water quality data sharing, modeling progress, contingency plans for water shortages, and the water shortage plan implementation. And lastly, the compliance with DOH orders with respect to Red Hill bulk fuel storage facility, including the pipelines and aquifer recovery. So we'd like to thank the Commission for taking action on Red Hill, and that's my update. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Barry. Next, we're going to move on to just an update on response actions and asked Erwin Kawata, head of our water quality division, to provide that. Go ahead, Erwin.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ernie. Next slide, please. So this is a list of the activities that are undergoing right now, including, finding replacement wells, installing some monitor wells, making some system adjustments, exploring use of wells that were previously shut down because of salinity issues to see how well those can be used, and also test pumping some existing wells in addition to expediting the repairs on our pump stations that are scheduled for renovation and or repair. Kalihi Pump Station on the low service side just recently went back into service. And on the Kalawa wells, we had one of the pumps, pump number 4, also approved to place in service. Beyond that, we have our water conservation expansion program going on, as well as making some adjustments to the system. Next slide, please. In addition, these are longer term projects that our Water Resources Division is working on, including up in Waiawa Shaft and the Kalaeloa seawater desalination facility that's currently undergoing the procurement process. Next slide, please. This slide shows the locations of the monitoring wells that we have scheduled and working on to either permit or install Site H, the one by the correctional facility to the top right of the page is the one that's moving into the construction phase. All the other ones are going through the permitting and landowner access approval phase. Next slide, please. And
Okay, thank you, Aaron. I'm gonna ask Kathleen Elliott Pakanui, head of our communications office, to give them her update.
Thank you, Manager, Chair, and board members. Next slide, please. Okay, we continue with our conservation initiatives. We just featured Mayor Blangiardi last week. He agreed to do a water conservation message on Hawaii News Now. We're going to be recording Dr. Beamer tomorrow, and also Chair Waters and Councilmember Tupola have agreed to appear with water conservation messages. So we're very happy. We have 3 others that we're still working on that we hope to report on next month. We've completed 2 hotel water audits with our hotel partner, which we will also announce next month. But we wanted to give them the first right to kind of roll out under their own press release. But it's going very well, and they're very happy with the partnership. And we are executing a contract mod with the Freshwater Council for the marketing, and we will be able to share that hopefully in the July meeting, or at least the August meeting. As well. So everything's moving along, and I think everyone also saw the op-ed by Ernie last week. Thank you. Next slide, please. At this time, we want to share with you our new TV spot that we just rolled out a few weeks ago. It features our employees, but again, it promotes that conservation message. Thank you, Joy. Please go ahead.
Water conservation is her job. And his job. And his job. And their job. But they could use your help. Because saving water is everyone's job. Together, let's all do our part to conserve our island's water.
Thank you. So again, it just shows all of us in this together. We want to show what our employees are doing to help with conservation initiatives and to spread that message that all of us are in this together. It's not just we're relying on the public to do all the work. We're relying on everybody to do the work. And as Jason will be reporting later, how our leak detection team is out there working very hard to be very proactive to find those leaks early on. Next slide, please. Again, we continue with our outreach. We had some really good meetings last week with a couple state agencies. We're finding that people are more and more wanting to ask us how they can help us, and they're providing suggestions and ideas to us to make that happen. Ernie, did you want to say anything on that?
I just happened to talk to the executive director last week of the Hawaii Public Housing Authority, and it was so encouraging because he's seeking to redevelop the existing state public housing to modernize it, and he is building into his RFP the requirements for greater water and energy efficiency. So we really appreciate Hakeem's leadership there. And it was a good discussion also with the Hawaii Community Development Agency or Association, HCDA for Kaka'ako. Likewise, they are very supportive of our efforts to conserve water, to be more efficient in new development. So this has been very, very promising.
Thank you, Manager. But so we continue that outreach. I did a presentation to the Mililani Neighborhood Board last week that was very well received. And Chair Waters actually asked us to go out after the neighborhood boards, which we were planning to do as well. But especially in his community where they may not, even though they're on Metro Honolulu, they may not be as tuned in as say the folks in IAM Pearl City are to what's going on with Red Hill and Salt Lake. Salt Lake's very aware. So we're going to be sending out an email to the board chairs asking if they'd like a short presentation. We're available to do so. Next slide, please. This is our water sensible monthly dashboard. As you're aware, this is our rebate program that we do with Honeywell. And the really key number on this chart to look at is in the upper left-hand side where it says lifetime gallons saved. We have saved since the inception of this program in 2018 over 653 million gallons of water based on the fact that people have bought these clothes washers, rain barrels, and weather-based irrigation control units. So that's a lot of potable water that is now saved. It was not used excessively or irresponsibly. So we're very grateful. We had a really good meeting with Honeywell this morning, talking to them about marketing efforts from their field team and how we can even more aggressively go after these types of rebates. And they're also working with Barry and Lorna on developing new rebates for both the commercial and the residential side. But the impact we're getting, the response we're getting from the people we're talking to has been very positive and continues to grow. Next slide, please. One thing we did want to point out, and I know Barry covers this in his report, but he gave me permission to talk about it in this one, is that the rainfall, we were very lucky. The rainfall for this past May was just a little above normal, but it was better than being below normal. And due to that, and we believe also due to the conservation messaging that we've been doing, next slide, please. We did see a drop in water pumpage for the month of May. And it even went below the 5-year average of 137 million gallons per day. So we're encouraged by this. You know, we can see the dailies go up and down depending on weather and usage and time of day. But when you see it monthly like this, like we always report, it's a little bit, you see a more hopefully definitive trend. So we're hopeful that this is a positive trend, that it will continue staying below what it's been in the last couple of years. So keeping our fingers crossed, and please continue promoting that message of conservation. Next slide. And thank you very much.
Thank you, folks, and board chair and members available for any questions.
I got a quick question. Kathleen Max, PSAs, have we get good reception from the news media about PSAs?
Oh, yeah, when
On
we
the-
do our media buying, sir, we actually get a match of usually 1-to-1. So we're able to double our reach and frequency because we're considered kind of a nonprofit government utility. We're there for the public good. So the media treats us pretty well. We're very lucky.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Members, any questions? Okay, hearing none. My only question is, are we continuing our targeted messaging for certain industries? And I know Max had brought up restaurants. Are we continuing that targeted messaging?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We met with the, as you know, Chair, we met with the HRA. I got them that data that they asked for about water usage per the different kinds of restaurants. I sent that over on Friday. And yes, we are continuing that.
Okay. All right, very good.
Thank you.
Any further questions? If not, we're gonna move on. I'm going to go back to the top of the agenda here. And these are items requiring board action. First is the approval of the minutes of the public hearing and regular meeting held on May 23rd, 2023. They've been distributed and are in your board packets. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moved by Nalepu and seconded by Max. Are there any corrections, additions, amendments, or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, all those opposed say nay. All right, let the record reflect.
Chair, I abstain since I wasn't here.
Okay, and we do have one abstention from member Ray Soon. And let the record reflect, I got ayes from all of the other board members in attendance, and there were no negative responses. So the motion carries. Minutes are approved. All right, moving on to the next item, this is the approval of the Board of Water Supply Commercial Stakeholder Advisory Group. I'm going to turn this over to Manager Lau.
Okay, thank you, Chair. As we continue to navigate the Red Hill crisis situation and its impact on our water system, we're recommending the formation of a commercial stakeholder advisory group. We would still maintain our existing stakeholder advisory group, but we're actually creating an advisory group that we're recommending that is actually going to focus on our commercial and non-residential customers. This will be similar to the SAG that was created in 2015. We've really seen the value of a stakeholder advisory group organization or group to help us through the planning process, provide feedback on the important issues. But the focus here is on non-residential customers, and right now, of our 170,000 customer accounts, about 10% is in the non-residential class. But they actually use about 35% of the total water use every day on Oahu. So we think this formation of this group will really help provide, open up the lines of communication to educate our commercial or non-residential customers, but also provide important feedback to us as we face some really important decisions going forward. As we navigate, this Red Hill situation, it'll probably take a few years to get through this process. So we believe this will actually open up the opportunity to create lines of communication with different stakeholders that we haven't actually been able to reach before. And there seems to be a pretty wide interest in participating in this commercial stakeholder. We're focusing on development, finance, construction, government, real estate, food service, travel and tourism, and also the business and the retail and service sectors, golf courses, and healthcare industries like hospitals. The roles, CSAG members will attend a series of BWS meetings like the SAG members have done. And we're going to actually use them, encourage them if they're willing to be like our ambassadors, also to carry information out to their circles of influence or their groups of people that they move and work with on a daily basis. So the meetings will be open to the public. Although we're not subject to the Sunshine Law, we're going to kind of follow the same protocol that we have with the stakeholder advisory group meetings. Public is invited, and also we produce minutes or meeting notes that'll be publicly posted on our website. We are committed to provide the staffing and resources necessary to support the group meetings and also to remain accurate and transparent in the information and take their input and share their input with this board as they present it to us. So our recommendation is the creation of the commercial stakeholder advisory group. I'm available for any questions.
Members, any comments or questions?
I have one, Ernie. How do you choose the members?
One of the first things we do is kind of look at organizations where you have for the contractors, they have the general contractors, GCA, General Contractors Association, also the Building Industry Association, BIA, or maybe even the Association of Building Contractors, ABC. So first thing is look at different organizations that already exist, nonprofit organizations. And then in the different groups, we may start to select people, or people may be willing to volunteer. I've already talked to some state agencies and they're very interested in participating. Some of the key state agencies like in HCDA, HHFDC, Hawaii Public Housing Authority too, maybe even DAGS might be an appropriate member. So look at organizations first, and then we get recommendations, and maybe individuals that really are can serve as a bridge with that industry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just urge that I mean, government's a big place, and that you be sure to include the Department of Education,
Oh, yes, DOE.
the university and the community college systems.
That's
They
great.
are use lots of, in the hotels. I see you have tourism here, but hotels specifically use water for all that air conditioning, which is just huge going.
Yeah, that's
And then all of their landscaping.
yeah, that's actually a good point. Some of the SAG members actually may serve on both sides. So, hotels, like we have the Outrigger, Marcus from the Outrigger Hotels as a member of our stakeholder advisory group. And we are actually like Kathleen shared, we're doing water audits for some of these hotels that are willing to bring us, especially on the food establishments within the hotel that use a lot of water. It's been a great partnership. I presented to the Hawaii Tourism Authority at least twice now, and the Tourism Hawaii Hotel Alliance. I think they're called the Hawaii Hotel Alliance. They were extremely supportive of what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks. Thank you.
Members, any other questions?
I know, who's gonna manage it in your shop?
Our communications office, our communications team, I must say. They're a great team. I do need action
Okay,
to authorize the.
let's see, is there a motion to approve?
I think it's a great idea, so move. I second.
Okay, moved and seconded, any discussion? I'd like to just note, if there's no other comments, I guess my concern is having multiple stakeholder advisory groups, and how are you to balance the different input of each one, and to the extent that there is overlap between the two. Then also, I mean, I look at our personnel numbers, our inability to get the numbers up to hire more people and get more resources. I'm just a little worried about, having to put more, resources, dedicate more personnel towards this. But given the consensus, I'll go along with it if you, as long as it can be assured that we be mindful of those concerns.
I appreciate that, Chair, and I know we have a very full plate already, and that's one of the questions that I asked my staff, especially my communications team, if they could take it on and also support it, because we have to be able to support it well for it to work. And Kathleen, I'm not going to speak for you, but what do you think?
Mahalo, Chair. I appreciate your concern. My staff, we have the capacity. I am not worried. Once we get these things up and running, they're not complicated to do on a regular basis. You just have to have your task list in your system, and the team is always ready to take on new challenges. So we're good.
To the other point, to the existing stakeholder advisory group is extremely valuable, and with this group also, we're going to treat all the input and feedback we get and share both with the board. We want to let both groups know that they're valuable and important to the direction and for the Board of Water Supply, as we move forward. One of the things that logistically I thought, well, we could merge the two together, But if the group got to be like 50 people, the opportunity for the individual members to share their manao in a meeting that might last a couple hours becomes a little bit more difficult when you have a really big group. So smaller groups, I think, encourage more active participation and conversation. But they're just my thoughts. But thank you, Chair, for raising those concerns. I appreciate it.
Sure. The other thing I want to raise too is if we could include in this group contractors and partners that we work with in the construction industry and engineering and architectural industries. In the last few years, there's been growing concerns and growing complaints. And I think that if we're going to be successful with getting our projects done, we're going to need them on board. And so any chance to include them would be great.
Yeah, thank you. We will definitely. And thanks for reminding me about the engineers and architects also. Like the AIA, ACCH are two good organizations. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, motion carries. We now have a commercial stakeholder advisory group. And thank you to everyone who serves and works on this project. Next one is the adoption of resolution number 942, 2022. This is the acceptance of gifts of a gift to the Board of Water Supply from Detail Garage Hawaii for water conservation promotions. Chair recognizes Ms. Kathleen Elliott Pahino.
Thank you, Chair, Manager, and board members. As part of our outreach on conservation, we are partnering with different organizations and groups. And Detail Garage Hawaii has proposed a gift of $435 in support of our Less is More social media water conservation contest that will be coming up starting July 1st through July 18th. The goal is to raise awareness, encourage the public to conserve water. On average, an Oahu household uses about 6,000 gallons of water per month or 200 gallons of water per day. The BWS is asking for a voluntary reduction of 10% or about 20 gallons per day. This contest will engage the community in making easy water-saving choices to help them reach that target. And we greatly appreciate this gift and the participation of the community and their role in embracing this as stewards of our precious water resource. And we requested the board adopt this gift of $435. Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Nalehu, seconded by Max. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those, sorry, I should give the people, the members joining remotely an opportunity to respond as well.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed, say nay. Hearing none, motion passes. The resolution 942, 2022 is accepted. Kathleen, please extend our sincere thanks to Detail Garage Hawaii for their generous gift.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, board members. Mahalo.
And moving on to the next item, this is the adoption of resolution number 943, 2022, reimbursement of capital expenditures from the proceeds of indebtedness. Chair recognizes Mr. Joe Cooper.
Good afternoon, Board Chair, Board members. We recommend the adoption of Resolution 943, 2022, declaring the official intent of the Board of Water Supply to reimburse itself for certain capital expenditures from the proceeds of indebtedness, or otherwise known as our water revenue bonds. This resolution establishes a time limit for reimbursement of 18 months. This brings us into compliance with Section 1.150 of the U.S. Treasury regulations and does not bind the board to make any expenditure, incur any indebtedness, or proceed with any project. The resolution also establishes a limit of $181,109,325 and attaches the approved FY23 capital improvement program. This is the resolution we adopt every year, or a similar resolution that we adopt every year in coordination with our water revenue bonds that we issue. And it gives us flexibility should the need arise to reallocate some of those proceeds. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Members, any questions? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
I move.
Okay, moved by Ray. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Wait, no,
I'll second.
Okay.
I have it in a second.
Ray, seconded by Naale. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. All right, the resolution is hereby adopted. Resolution number 943, 2022. Thank you very much, Mr. Cooper.
You're welcome.
And you might as well stay on because you're the next up as we move to items for information. This is the water system revenue bonds
Yes.
and
Chair,
compliance with rate covenant.
Chair, did you solicit public comment? I mean, is anybody hanging on for?
Oh, I should, okay.
After each,
Let me just give me 1 second, Joe. Mr. Nordstrom, is there anyone on the telephone lines today?
There are nobody on the telephone lines, Chair.
Okay. Madam Secretary, do you know if is there anyone in the lobby or
There is no one in the
or
lobby.
any written testimony on any
No
of them?
written testimony, Chair.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Okay, Mr. Cooper?
Okay, thank you again. Welcome, board members. This is, we make this report every year to alert you to our compliance with some of our revenue bond requirements, covenants. So in accordance with Article 8, Section 8.02 of rates and charges of our revenue bond resolution 717, 2001, which is our master water revenue bond resolution, we have completed a review of the financial condition of the Board of Water Supply for the purposes of estimating whether our net revenues from the current year and the next year will be sufficient to comply with our rate covenant. And our review included an examination of our financial and accounting records, which we found it considered necessary to express an opinion on the adequacy of the department's rates and charges. And with that, yes, we have concluded that the net revenues will not be less than the net revenue requirement in each fiscal year for both 2022 and 2023. We've attached a schedule for our estimate for concluding this year in FY22, and then an estimate based on the budget for FY23. And this year, we expect that our net revenue requirement or our debt service ratio will be just over 4 times, or 4.67%. And next year, based on the budget, it will be over 2 times, and our net revenue requirement is 1.2 in each year. So we are well above our required bond covenants. I'll be happy to take any questions or comments.
Mr. Cooper, can you remind us, our rate covenant, that 1.2 ratio you mentioned, is it in our water master plan?
No, the 1.2 is actually in, again, the the original bond resolution 7.17, which is just our agreement with our bondholders. In addition to that, we do have financial policies which state
Yes.
more stringent coverage ratios. That is all-in coverage ratio of 1.7. And so, but we exceed, but again, both of those were the financial policies or policies adopted by the board, which we hold ourselves to.
And those financial policies, are they part of, I'm just trying to figure out, are they part of the water master plan, or, I know we have them.
Well, well, I think actually they are a policy that stands alone. They were developed during the long-range financial plan, which was in coordination with the water master plan, but which is a separate plan. And the long-range financial plan, I believe, was completed in 2018, and then it was updated last year to account for the effects of the COVID pandemic on our revenue and water consumption patterns.
Okay, thank you. Members, any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
Joe, you said the current ratio is at 4.67?
Yes. Well, the
Um,
estimated ratio, yes.
do you recall what it was estimated last year that it would be this year? I mean, we're estimating next year at 2.07, right?
Right.
So what was this year estimated at last year?
Off the top of my head, I don't have that. I would imagine it would be below the 4
Yeah.
times that we have that we actually are going to recognize. Our
No,
budgeting is generally very conservative, and so the ratio that we're budgeted at is generally somewhat less than what we realize in the coming year.
I guess it's the same point I think I've made every year. I'm just wondering if we collect too much money.
Well, that's a good thing to, I guess, to consider. And
I think what I want to urge the board to do in our future rate conversation is to reduce, is to not be so aggressive on the rates.
my only one comment about that, and I don't know whether we collect too much money or not. I know that the rating agencies do look very favorably, and although we have this covenant of 1.2 and a target of 1.7 in our financial plans, I believe that were our ratio to drop below 3 or that our rating, our AA plus and our AAA rating could suffer, and we could end up paying higher interest rates on future bond issues.
To your point, Board Member Soon, is that, and we're kind of getting into the next rate study, that we definitely want to keep the issues of affordability in mind and what people can afford under those circumstances.
That's all I'm asking.
Thank you.
I think Joe's exactly right. But if those rating companies, if we achieve 6.0, 7.0, they'd be even happier.
Yeah.
But there's got to be a balance.
But the balance is affordability. consistent with our mission
And
statement.
that's our job.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
Chair, I have a question
Oh, go ahead, Paul.
or a comment perhaps, and I'll apologize in advance. My internet's been really spotty, so if I just disappear, that's why. But you know, one of the things that we balanced in looking at the rates was the need to repair pipeline and achieve a certain amount of pipeline inspected and or improved over a certain period of time. And so to Board Member Soon's question, to the degree there is additional revenue, one of the things we can consider is repairing additional miles of pipe and adding that into the work that we do. So I just wanted to add that to the conversation because I know that that's a significant factor and that's something that's always been troubling for me too, in looking at how old a lot of our pipes are and then the impact that has on the larger community when they break before we're able to repair them. So just a thought. That said, I do hear, especially in this time of significant inflation, you know, I understand the impact of affordability, but we do have a lot to consider as well. So just wanted to add that to the conversation. Mahalo.
Yeah, maybe if I could, just along Ray's point, you know, there's this balance to be had too. We've enjoyed 10 or 12 years of really low interest where borrowing money is really cheap. And, you know, if you go back to some of the previous budget workshops, I won't ask, you know, Joe to shoot from the hip this time, but like to look at how debt service, paying that bill just goes up and up and up every year as we borrow more to fix those miles of pipe. It would be really interesting to hear more about what happens now that the Fed is jacking up the base rate at unprecedented levels in, you know, in just months at a time to fight the inflation and how that's going to affect what it costs to borrow the money so that we can balance it all out, keep the rate as low as possible to the ratepayer, but also make sure that we are keeping this critical infrastructure as healthy as possible as we move along.
And I would add also dealing with the projects that have been the need for different projects related to the Red Hill situation too, that we when we did the master plan back in 2016, we didn't anticipate having to do some of these projects that are now expedient for us, for our community.
Sure.
So yeah, it is, you're very right. The cost of borrowing is going to go up. So how do we get through this time? And what Joe is actually investigating is what they call a WIFIA loan from the US EPA. So not going to the State Department of Health, but actually borrowing from the US EPA. Joe, maybe you can share a little bit about what WIFIA is.
Okay, I'd be happy to, but first I would like to clarify one misconception or one explanation of this report. When we talk about our net revenues, that doesn't really include our CIP projects. This is the net revenues that we get to cover our normal operating costs. It doesn't necessarily, you know, include the cost to continue to maintain and expand our network. With that, having said that, just as a point of clarification, I do want to talk about WIFIA. WIFIA, if my memory serves me right, is the Water Infrastructure Financing and Innovation Act, and they have gotten. It's been in the works for several years now, or it's been available for several years now, and we're working with a financial advisor in constructing our WIFIA letter of interest. They just announced the amount to that they will be accepting applications beginning in September, and we hope to be able to do that. It does provide for a low-cost interest loans, but I think more importantly, it provides for a lot of flexibility in structuring ways to reduce our interest and our interest costs and our borrowing costs by allowing us to borrow at short-term rates for some before we execute the loan, and then it allows us to lock in a rate so that we can be sure that we have funding regardless of the fluctuations in the rates and the actions of the Fed.
Yeah, the rate lock's an important point. It locks the rate in at the time we execute the loan. We don't have to tap the loan and start borrowing to it. And if we don't, haven't borrowed yet on the loan and the rates went down, EPA has actually allowed borrowers to go to the lower rate. So it really, it's another tool in the tool chest for financing projects. And that's what we have to be that creative nowadays.
And those are, yes, those are some of the important features, but like Ernie said, there are really a lot of features. It also, when we borrow municipal bonds, we get the money right away and we start paying interest on it right away. With the WIFIA loan, we don't start paying interest until we actually draw on the loan by that loan amount. And often it can be 3 to 5 years before we actually expend the fund. So that window of gives us a considerable savings in our borrowing costs.
So it's an opportunity. Is a limitation that it can only finance up to 49% of the project cost. So, but it does give us this new tool for greater financial flexibility.
It's federal money?
It's federal money. Yeah.
It's actually a federal loan guarantee. It is a loan. We do have to pay it back.
Thank you, Waterworks Controller.
You're welcome.
Right, any further comments or questions? Otherwise, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Joe. We'll move to the next item. Item number 3 is the Association of Apartment Owners of Terraza, Portobello, Las Brisas, Tiburon's water use and delinquent water and sewer service charges. Chair recognizes Mr. Garen Hamasaki.
Hi, good afternoon, board chair and board members. Here is the update on the Association for Terraza, Portobello, Las Brisas, Tiburon subdivision. This is the EVA premise that used a lot of water. Next slide, please. So currently the account is current. A payment of $1,785,684.51 was paid on June 2nd. The outstanding balance is $120,471.14 as of the 7th, and that was the last bill that went out. $42,420.13 is the water portion. $78,051.01 is the sewer portion. And I checked as of today, and that payment was made. So their current balance is 0 as of today.
Oh.
Next slide, please.
I'm not gonna ask how you did it, but that's balance. And we didn't have to kick anybody out.
Or violating lawsuits.
Violating lawsuits.
So we appreciate the association getting on this. Continue, Garen.
Okay, as far as lateral replacements, a total of 557 laterals to be replaced by October 2022. As of June 9th, 296 have been replaced, which equates to 53%. Next slide, please. This is just a graph showing the average daily use. Right now it's down to approximately 220,000 gallons per day. We are continuing to monitor the meter, and we're always emphasizing that they continue to fix their water laterals that could still be leaking. Next slide. Any questions?
I just have one, Ernie, there was a discussion about the split between the water and the sewer previous to this year. So how much of the 1.7 is the Board of Waters and how much of it goes to sewer?
It's a quite good question because this effort also involved in environmental services, like E&B. Karen, do you know what the breakdown is on that, the balance, outstanding balance that was paid off? Or Ellen, if you know the breakdown.
I have it on a spreadsheet. I have to look for it.
Board member, Anthony, we can get back to you.
Yeah. Just
Okay,
curious.
sure.
Thank you. Yeah,
Okay, thanks.
just great job, you guys. Great team effort. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I also want to recognize, our corporation counsel, Jeff Lau on this too, and Jeff worked very hard. Along with Ellen Pizamora, our deputy. And I just want to express the appreciation of the association, the board. There's some turnover in the board and the new board wanted to resolve this in an amicable fashion here. And we appreciate their commitment to replace the laterals that within their project, their private laterals, that was the source of the leakage and breakage. So they're about halfway through that process.
Awesome.
I have a question, regarding usage. Has their usage stabilized? Has it dropped? Has it?
That graph, Gary, can you bring back the graph? And Stephen, can you move the camera?
Yeah.
Left, right corner, move it to the left if you can. Or just get rid of the in-room camera.
Well, I'll use my.
There we go.
Yeah.
So you can see that on the right there, it's dropped down to that. We think there still might be some leakage, but they're getting toward what they would normally use for almost 621 homes.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big
The
development.
huge jump.
Yeah. So look at where it was back in January 2022, and it's gonna come down. That's around December of 2021. To where there's a significant improvement, so that really made sense.
That's a hell of a leakage.
There was a lot of water being wasted, so we appreciate them helping to conserve our by,
Especially at this time,
yeah.
this particular time with everything going on and the season.
And if I have a message to other associations like this, please stay on top of your infrastructure issues. Don't let them get behind and into disrepair, and let the bills, the water waste kind of get out of hand. Take care of it.
Just a curiosity, Ernie. I guess it would take a lot of effort to monitor, large developments like that in terms of the tracking the water use.
Well, we read the meter once a month, so
Right.
when we notice abnormally high usage, we alert the customer.
Mm.
In this case, we also use the tool of, and Jason Nikaido, maybe you can explain the meter master. Jason, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay,
Uh,
Jason is
so-
the head of our field operations division. Go ahead.
We have a device called a Meter Master, and it's basically a strap-on logger to our meters that will feed minute data to the logger, and then our crews will come by maybe either once or twice a week and collect that data, and then we can bring it back to the office and analyze it. So instead of seeing something at an hourly or a daily number, we can go down to the minute and be more precise. And, so in the overnight hours, we can see if anyone is using it or if we have leaks that you can normally tell during the overnight hour data.
Oh, okay, just curious.
Thank you, Max. Board member Sword, eventually, there's also something called automated metering infrastructure, AMR, smart meters, like what Hawaiian Electric is putting in on the electric side. That you can, customer or the utility can monitor almost real-time usage. we're kind of evaluating that, maybe for our larger customers to see what the cost would be. It's pretty a significant cost, but.
Yeah, that was
it
my
does-
next question.
It does create some benefits from it too, especially for leak detection and having the customer monitor their water usage on a more real-time basis.
I'd be curious to find out what their cost is in doing that.
Yeah, we'll ask them next time we talk.
Yeah, be curious. The message that you had, you said, if I had a message to give to homeowners associations, I found over the years that homeowners associations vary dramatically from extremely sophisticated to extremely unsophisticated. And they, believe it or not, more often than not, want to hear information that will help them do a better job. I guess I like your message. I hope you can deliver it somehow. And it would be great if you had a summer kid or something who could write this up so that it's a good model of what happens when you lose control and what it's going to take you to gain control, et cetera. Just a case study type of presentation, a 5, 6, 7 page case study that it concludes with something that you can hand out.
Maybe I'll ask.
Take one of your summer students or something.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we're also, the other group that's important here is property managers. So these large associations deal with property management companies. So as part of the water conservation efforts too, we've done a lot of outreach to the property, especially the ones that represent maybe the majority of properties, that manage a majority of properties. So about water conservation and I think that's also going to help for them to really be careful to watch on behalf of their clients, the AOs or HOAs, about their utility usage. And I've been getting some pretty positive reception from some of these property management companies. Thank you. Yeah, a little white paper.
Chair? I just wanted to add my thanks to the chorus. I mean, this was a significant issue and so many people, staff, attorneys, and so on contributed at different levels. I really want to mahalo all of those who helped to get us here, and I look forward to the numbers after the rest of the laterals have been replaced. So thanks, everyone.
You're welcome.
No, this is a great team effort, and yeah, I'm glad we're able to be in this situation as quickly as we are, especially at this critical time.
Yeah, Jeff Lau, our deputy corporation counsel, drafted all the letters with the association's attorney, but it got the attention it needed all the way up to their board.
All right, any further comments or questions? If not, thank you again, everyone, for your work on this project. Really appreciate it. Right, next item is the status update of groundwater levels and all index stations. Chair recognizes Mr. Barry Usagawa.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. There are 3 aquifer index stations in low groundwater status in May. Wailuo was in caution, Kaimuki and Honolulu are in alert. The monthly production, as Kathleen had said previously, was 134 million gallons per day. Because of the rains we had in May, pretty much normal rainfall, it brought up the 5-month moving average to 76%. In terms of the Hawaii drought monitor, we have a range of drought conditions, where the severe drought would still be in West Oahu. And the National Weather Service is forecasting enhanced probabilities for below normal precipitation through November. So we'll anticipate a drier, hot summer. But our pumpage again is below the 5-year monthly average, and for the same time last year because of the rains we seen in May and our conservation efforts. With that, available for questions.
Members, any questions? Hearing none, thank you very much, Barry, for the report.
Welcome.
Finally, we have the water main report for May 2022. Chair recognizes Mr. Jason Lee-Kleindoll.
Hey, good afternoon, Chair and Board. Here's the water main repair report for May 2022. In May, we had 14 main breaks, which is lower than average. That puts us at 337 main breaks for the year, which is just under last year's. And with June, we probably expect to exceed that, but not as much now since we had a lower than average May. Next slide. Okay, here are our 14 main breaks, all on the smaller size, between 4 and 8 inch, 4 and 12 inch in diameter. Next slide. And for leak detection, our leak detection team investigated 35 points of interest and found 35 leaks, which brings us to 651 leaks found for the year, and that exceeds last year's. And this month in June, we had a break on a 42-inch line in Mapunapuna. I just wanted to share some photos of that. So Joy, if you could bring up the other presentation. Okay, so we had a break, 42-inch main break on Kili Hau in Mapunapuna, just Mauka of Nimitz Highway. It was near the U-Haul photo. And it was challenging in this case because if you can see the picture on the right, our water main went below two 42-inch storm drains and above a 48-inch sewer. So our water line kind of threaded other utilities, which made this challenging. In addition, the Mopunapuna area has groundwater issues, so there's flooding on the roads during tides, so we had to deal with that as well. And we also had a 8-inch gas line right at our trench to deal with. Next slide. So here is a picture of the main break once it exposed. The star in the bottom left is the sewer manhole for the 48-inch sewer. The middle red circle is the leak where the 42-inch main broke. On the right-hand side, that circle is the 8-inch gas line. And then above our pipe is the 42-inch storm drain. Okay, next slide. Okay, so using lessons learned from the freeway break last year at Fort Shafter, because of the challenging conditions, we called upon the same diving company that helped us out there, and we did repairs from the inside once again. So they sent divers in, were able to assess the damage to the inside of the pipe, and then we're able to make the repairs from the inside. Next slide. So what they found was the pipe separated. For the two pieces of pipe separated at the joint, anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to 2 inches. So basically the pipe was, instead of being butt up against each other, it was pulled apart a little bit. Okay, next slide. So to do the repair, we had a full circumference butt strap. You can see the metal plates that they put in along the joint to repair the pipe. Okay. Next slide. And then here you see the outside all repaired. Okay. Next slide. Okay, that's it. Do you guys have any questions regarding the report or this break?
Yeah, the lessons learned from the 42-inch main break by Ford Chapter the other year. You know, Jason's been very creative and innovative. That was a extreme, like Jason showed, that was a 42-inch main that's going below, between two large drain lines and above a large sewer line with a gas line nearby too. And our pipe is concrete jacketed, so you can only see the concrete. But to think about cutting a hole in the pipe with the air relief valve and going in, sending a diver in, diver's able to repair it. How long did the repair go, Jason?
It took about 2 weeks total.
Yeah, fortunately, this thing wasn't as deep as the freeway one. The freeway, how deep was the freeway hole? That we had to
Freeway
dig?
hole was about 25 feet deep.
Oh, yeah, that was a really challenging. But thank you, good job, Jason.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Yeah, thank you. Where's the divers from? Where'd you get the divers?
They're a
Are they-
local company, Phoenix
Oh,
Engineering.
it's a subcontract.
The subcontract, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they do work at Pearl Harbor. They're a national company, but they have a local presence doing work with the Navy.
To show my age, I was gonna say he must be a former tunnel rat. If you know what that means.
Okay.
From the Vietnam War, you know, they.
Yeah, the 42-inch pipe is nearly 4 feet in diameter, but still a very tight space, and actually you do welding in the pipe.
Well, especially if you're carrying a
And
tank.
going underwater, and the pipe's still got water in it.
Because you're carrying a tank too.
I think they have a tank on there might be emergency air. Was that emergency air, that small?
Yep,
tank?
that's the emergency air tank. They have a
But they
compressor.
have an airline
compressor
going
line.
up.
Yeah.
All right, well, I don't want to jinx anything, but good report this month.
We'll have another interesting report for you next month.
I think that one is a little more easier,
We'll wait for next one.
yeah.
Thanks for the visuals on this. Makes a difference.
Thanks, Jason. Good time.
Thanks for the report. All right, everyone, we are at the end of our regular agenda. We do have executive session today. Can I get a motion to move in
So move.
executive session?
Second.
Moved and seconded, moved by Max, seconded by Nalehu. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All
Aye.
those opposed say nay. All right, let's stand in recess and prepare for executive session. Thank you, everyone. We are back in session and we are at the end of our agenda. We just exited executive session. There being no further business.
I move to adjourn.
Thank you.
Amen.
Second?
Second.
Oh, okay. All right. Any discussion? Nope. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Nice seeing you guys.
All those opposed say nay. All right, we stand adjourned.
Hi, John. Hi,
Hi,
Luana.
guys. Thank you so much.
You guys.
Thank you, guys.